Today I want to reflect on the Tower of Babel, found in Genesis 11, verses 1 to 9. As we prepare for the upcoming elections, I see parallels between Babel and the divisions in our society. The story begins with humanity speaking a single language and coming together to build a great city and a tower. Their ambition to make a name for themselves and avoid being scattered offers us an important lesson. Unity can be a double-edged sword. In their quest for unity, they overlooked their dependence on God, leading to pride and ambition that ultimately resulted in chaos and division when God confused their language. Fast forward to today, and we see similar dynamics in our political landscape. Many people unite with strong convictions to create change, but this often results in polarization rather than true unity. In our fervor to build our own towers of ideals and beliefs, we risk losing sight of our shared humanity and the divine image reflected in everyone. The second lesson from Babel is about miscommunication. When God confused the languages, it reflected a deeper truth about human experience. Miscommunication can derail even the best intentions. Despite their unified goal, the people of Babel descended into chaos due to their inability to communicate effectively. Today, communication, especially through social media, often exacerbates misunderstanding. Sound bites replace nuanced conversations, and tweets or X can escalate conflicts rapidly. Imagine if the people of Babel had taken a step back to listen and embraced their diversity. They might have built something beautiful together instead of succumbing to division. Recent studies indicate that over 40% of individuals affiliated with both major political parties in the United States view members of the opposing party not as misinformed, but as threats to their values, or even as downright evil. This mindset reflects a deepening polarization in America's political landscape. Candidates often emphasize differences rather than commonalities, leading us to overlook our shared humanity. This simplistic view leads to demonization and reinforces the notion that opposing views are fundamentally flawed. The consequences are far-reaching, depriving us of opportunities for constructive dialogue and collaboration essential to addressing societal changes. Instead of recognizing how our differences can enrich democracy, we risk locking ourselves in echo chambers. I once read a book called Righteous Minds: Why People Are Divided by Politics and Religion by Jonathan Haidt. It is a book that I highly recommend to you. It profoundly changed my perspective on human morality and the complexities of our political divisions. Jonathan Haidt tells us about his moral foundations theory. It helps us understand the varied moral perspectives shaping our political beliefs. Let me share with you a brief overview of the 6 foundations along which how different political ideologies might prioritize them. First, we have care versus harm. This foundation centers on empathy and protecting the vulnerable. Liberals emphasize social justice and welfare programs, advocating for policies that support marginalized groups. Conservatives may acknowledge the importance of care, but often focus on personal responsibility, believing that individuals should help themselves or rely on community support rather than government intervention. The second one is fairness versus cheating. This involves justice and equality. Liberals tend to prioritize fairness in terms of equal rights and opportunities for all, often advocating for policies that aim to reduce inequalities. Conservatives, while also valuing fairness, may interpret it through the lens of meritocracy, emphasizing that rewards should be based on hard work and achievement. 3. Loyalty versus betrayal. This foundation emphasizes the importance of group loyalty, patriotism, and allegiance to one's community or nation. Conservatives often place a higher value on loyalty, seeing it as essential for social cohesion and stability. They may support policies that protect national identity and prioritize the interests of their country. Liberals, on the other hand, may view loyalty as important, but can be more critical of in-group favoritism, advocating instead for global perspectives and international cooperation. 4. We have authority versus subversion. This foundation reflects respect for tradition, hierarchy, and established institutions. It's about recognizing authority and the roles that social structures play in maintaining order. Conservatives typically emphasize this foundation, valuing tradition and the lessons of history as guides for behavior and governance. Liberals may critique authoritarian structure and advocate for questioning traditional authority, promoting progressive changes in social norms and policies. Number 5 is sanctity versus degradation. This involves ideas of purity, moral boundaries, and the sacredness of certain beliefs and practices. It's often tied to religious or cultural values. Conservatives are more likely to prioritize sanctity, emphasizing the importance of upholding traditional moral values and resisting practices they see as degrading. Liberals may be more open to diverse lifestyles and behaviors, focusing on personal freedom rather than adhering strictly to notions of purity. And the last one, liberty versus oppression. This foundation highlights the value of individual freedom and the fight against tyranny. It encompasses the belief that individuals should have the autonomy to live as they choose, free from oppression. Both liberals and conservatives value liberty, but they interpret it differently. Liberals might focus on protecting marginalized groups from systemic oppression, advocating for civil rights and social justice. Conservatives may prioritize economic freedoms and the belief that government overreach can threaten individual liberties. Election seasons amplify all these tensions, highlighting our differences rather than our commonalities. Understanding these moral foundations can help bridge political divides. Why? Because when individuals recognize that people on the opposite side of the political spectrum are often motivated by legitimate moral concerns, it can foster empathy and reduce polarization. By acknowledging and respecting these diverse moral perspectives, we can cultivate more constructive dialogues, ultimately leading to a healthier democratic society. That leads us to the third lesson from Babel, a call for humility and listening. True unity does not come from imposing our will on others, but from recognizing our limitations and the need for guidance. Are we willing to engage in conversations that challenge our viewpoints with one another as fellow citizens rather than adversaries? Are we open to listening even when it's uncomfortable? Are we building bridges or walling ourselves in? Are we fostering collaboration or deepening divides? The story of Babel reminds us that misunderstanding can arise when we fail to appreciate each other's languages, whether they be literal, cultural, or ideological. We must be willing to admit when we are wrong or when our perspective is limited. Let us challenge ourselves to listen actively and empathetically rather than preparing our rebuttals. We can transform our conversations by emphasizing our shared values, our care for families, communities, and the future. Finally, we should reflect on the beauty of diversity. Just as God created many languages at Babel, our differences can enrich our communities. These upcoming elections offer us an opportunity to engage meaningfully with various perspectives. Rather than retreating into echo chambers, let's embrace the diversity of thought and build a more inclusive society. Let us consider the lessons of Babel in the Torah in our own lives. Let us pray for wisdom in our decisions, humility in our conversations, and a spirit of unity in our communities. May you have a blessed new month, and may God bless America.